Am I the a-hole for canceling a wedding gift? My husband's sister was set to wed in September. While selecting a gift from her registry, I noticed a discrepancy. To ensure I got her the right item, I reached out to her so she was aware of my intended gift. Unfortunately, the wedding was called off. Since the gift hadn't shipped, I decided to cancel it. Recently, she inquired about the gift, fearing it might have been delivered and subsequently stolen. When I clarified that I had canceled the order, she expressed disappointment. My mother-in-law has since chimed in, suggesting it was insensitive of me to retract the gift, especially given my sister-in-law's current emotional state and with the holidays nearing. However, the gift's value was $700, which is significantly more than what I'd usually spend on a holiday gift. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole for canceling our family vacation? My husband Chris and I had meticulously planned a ski trip with our 2 kids. His cousin Martin, who Chris considers his best friend, had tragically lost his wife 6 months prior, leaving behind 2 young children. Feeling empathetic, Chris suggested we take Martin's kids along. However, due to a tight budget, I explained that we couldn't afford additional tickets. 2 days before the trip, I found out that my husband booked 2 tickets for Martin's kids instead of our own kids. I was the one paying, but he insisted on handling the booking and making reservations. When I confronted him, he felt he was helping Martin's family during their grieving process. I felt our own children were unfairly overlooked, and in response, I decided to cancel the entire trip. This led to a heated argument between Chris and me, with him accusing me of lacking compassion and blaming me for ruining the vacation for everyone. Was I wrong? Am I the a-hole for leaving class when my teacher insisted I donate blood? At my school, only students 16 and up can donate to a blood drive. The day before the drive, students go from class to ask who wants to participate. In my class, most students agreed to donate, but I, along with 2 others, did not. My teacher questioned us about our reasons. I explained that I was anemic and my doctor advised against donating blood outside a hospital. She said that wasn't a valid reason. This led to a prolonged, frustrating discussion. I gathered my things and told her that if this bothered her so much, she could contact my dad and talk to him. I also told her that I was going to the office to file a complaint because getting mad at me for something like this was extremely unprofessional on her part, and I wasn't going to deal with this. My dad agreed with my actions and plans to discuss it with the school. Was I wrong? Am I the a-hole for leaving my boyfriend because he named our daughter after his ex? I have been with my boyfriend for 5 years, and we have a daughter, Carla. He chose the name, which I thought was lovely. Recently, we attended his 10-year high school reunion with our daughter. While there, a woman approached, excited to see him. I overheard him say, "Yeah, we named our daughter Carla after you." I assumed they were just friends. However, she introduced herself to me as his high school sweetheart. My heart dropped. I asked why he named our daughter after her, and he said, "I never stopped loving her." They had lost touch when he left for college and never saw each other again. After this revelation, he disappeared for a day and met up with his ex, on what he called a friend date. This led me to end our relationship and agree to split custody. People say I'm being dramatic, but am I? Am I the a-hole for not giving our granddaughter $40,000? My husband and I have a tradition of giving our grandchildren a modest gift from their wedding registry, followed by a private gift of $40,000 to help with buying a house. We ask them to keep this gift confidential due to our large extended family. For our granddaughter's wedding, we chose an air fryer from her registry as the modest gift. However, she called us, angrily accusing us of being cheap and questioning our love for her. She even threatened to disinvite us from the wedding unless we got her a more expensive gift. Shocked, we did add a china set, but decided not to give her the $40,000. She recently became aware of the monetary gifts her siblings and cousins received and confronted us, accusing us of discrimination. We explained that her reaction to our initial gift led us to withhold the money. Despite her excuses of being stressed, we stood by our decision. Are we wrong? Am I the a-hole for not helping choose a gift for my mother-in-law? My mother-in-law, whose birthday is December 27th, insists on separating her birthday from Christmas completely, to the extent of removing all Christmas decorations and avoiding any Christmas talk. Last year, I received a large Christmas bonus and decided to get her a special gift. I chose a designer bag she'd always wanted, which was very expensive. I gave it to her on Christmas Day as a combined Christmas and birthday present, but she refused to open it, insisting on waiting until her birthday. She accused me of trying to spoil her birthday by merging it with Christmas, then locked herself away in her room, crying. Her husband suggested I buy her another gift, but I refused and decided to stop handling her gift shopping altogether. This year, my husband hasn't picked out anything for her for either occasion, and I'm unwilling to help. I feel like she doesn't deserve a gift after her behavior. Am I the a-hole for not telling my cousin's girlfriend I was on my period? To preface this, me, female 23, and my cousin, male 25, have always been really close. We are both only children and grew up 3 houses down from each other. When we were younger, we started this tradition of having movie marathons once a month. We're both huge nerds. Today, we live about an hour away from each other in different cities, but we've kept up with our tradition. We take turns holding a movie marathon day/night, and this time it was my cousin's turn to host it. My cousin lives in a 3-room apartment with his girlfriend, 26, and I've always gotten along with her as far as I'm aware. This would be the first time she was home during one of our marathons, but I didn't mind if she joined us. Like I said, I thought we were good. It was that time of month for me, but I didn't think much about it. I had pads with me, and I had my own beddings at my cousin's place, as well as a towel to sleep on in case of an accident. Am I the a-hole for not visiting my family without my 10-year-old sister-in-law? My husband and I, with our 3 young children, 5, 3, and 3 months, are also caring for his 10-year-old sister, who we're working to get custody of. She's become like one of our own kids, and is the sweetest. My family has been pressing for a visit since our newest addition, but they're excluding my sister-in-law. I've avoided conflict by delaying for 3 months, but I've stood firm that we won't visit unless she's included and treated as part of the family. I won't tolerate unequal treatment, such as her not receiving gifts like my children or not having a proper bed to sleep in. They suggest sending her to camp as a compromise, but I won't separate her from us. They're accusing me of depriving my biological children of their grandparents because I insist on including my sister-in-law. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole for refusing to go on a family outing with my niece? My sister-in-law, her husband, and their child, 9, are living with us for the next few months. They both work daily, leaving their daughter with me constantly. They expect me to always include their daughter in our plans, yet they never reciprocate. For instance, we took their child to an amusement park after my sister-in-law guilt-tripped my husband, but the next day they went to another park without our kids. I eventually confronted my sister-in-law, telling her I wouldn't be taking care of or including their child unless I specifically invited her. Yet, when my husband planned a surprise trip to a water park, he included their child without consulting me. Feeling defeated, I took my kids to the beach instead. Tired of being disrespected, I gave my sister-in-law a week's notice to move out. Now, they see me as the villain. Am I the a-hole for singling out my boyfriend who never tips the server? My boyfriend, myself, and 3 friends enjoyed dinner a few days ago. When it was time to pay, I reminded everyone to tip our amazing waitress, and I couldn't help but give my boyfriend a pointed look. He never tips and insists on paying only the exact bill amount, despite my previous attempts to explain the importance of tipping. Back at the restaurant, our friends didn't notice my look at my boyfriend, and, as usual, he left no tip while the rest of us did. On our way home, he brought up the situation, recognizing that I had singled him out. He wasn't pleased, and I immediately apologized. However, I again expressed my concern about his refusal to tip, only for him to repeat his indifference to the matter. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for skipping Thanksgiving for the 10th year in a row? I'm a flight attendant with enough seniority to take holidays off, but I choose to work instead. For a decade, I've avoided family holidays and events, including those involving my ex and my sister, whom he married after getting her pregnant while we were still together. I haven't even gone back to my hometown since their engagement announcement. My mother has been asking me when I'm going to come back, and the answer is never. Well, she and my dad are getting up there in years, and they want a family celebration with everyone, including my cheat of an ex and his family. She just asked when I'm going to be here for Thanksgiving, and I told her that work got in the way. She broke down crying and pleaded with me to take time off to see her. Honestly, I can't stand to see my ex happy with my sister and what could have been us. Also, I'm spending part of the holidays in Bali and have better things to do than be miserable in Cleveland. Am I the a-hole for standing my ground against my future mother-in-law on my wedding dress choice? I, female 25, am getting married to Jack, 26, next year. His mother has been very involved and wanted to join me in selecting my wedding dress. While shopping, she constantly criticized my choices. When I found a dress I liked, she disapproved, saying things like, "No, that's not for us," or "We can do better." After finding a dress that I loved and wanted, my future mother-in-law disagreed and said, "Are you kidding? I don't want that one. She's not pretty." Trying to keep the peace, I reminded her it's my wedding and my dress choice. She became emotional, accused me of ingratitude, and left abruptly. My fiancé feels I should have been more understanding since he's her only child. While I regret the fallout, I believe in my right to choose my own dress. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole for telling my kids that my mother-in-law hates me? My husband and I have twin 8-year-old boys. We work full-time and cover our basic expenses, but haven't taken extensive trips. A few weeks ago, my affluent mother-in-law offered to fund a 2-week trip for my husband and sons, excluding me, as she's never viewed me as family. Despite my disappointment, I agreed for the children's sake. Understanding I was upset, my husband asked if I could join, but she stood firm, emphasizing I wasn't her family. I advised him not to push further to avoid tension during the trip. So yesterday, when my son asked me why I wasn't more excited about the trip, I told him I wasn't coming because his grandma hates me. This upset the kids. Later, my husband told me I was an a-hole for dumping my feelings on my kids and making them feel guilty about looking forward to the trip and also ruining their relationship with my mother-in-law. Am I the a-hole for using a fake pregnancy test to prove my mother-in-law snoops? My mother-in-law, who has been living with us for a month, seemed to be snooping in our bedroom. I began to notice my stuff being touched and moved around. I figured it must be his mom walking in and snooping in my personal things. Despite my suspicions, my husband said she'd never do something like that. So I left a fake positive pregnancy test in the bedroom trash can. The next day, my in-laws bombarded me with congratulations, and my husband came to my workplace, wanting to know about the pregnancy. I asked how he found out, and he said his mom found the positive test in the trash can in the bedroom. I told him the test was fake, and this whole thing was done to expose my mother-in-law's snooping. He was livid. Now I'm being labeled a liar and manipulator by him and his family for breaking his mom's heart, as she's eager for us to have children. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a wedding I was a part of? I was in a serious 4-year relationship with my ex-boyfriend, John, and we were planning our future together. However, last year, he abruptly ended things, citing personal reasons and asking for space. During my breakup, my best friend Stacy and her fiancé Tom were incredibly supportive, even letting me stay with them. When Stacy asked me to be her maid of honor, I eagerly accepted. On the morning of the wedding, Tom told me that Stacy admitted to an affair with my ex John, which was the cause of our breakup. He told me that Stacy wanted to confess and start their marriage without secrets, and that he was forgiving her. Shocked and hurt, I walked out, causing chaos since I was heavily involved in organizing the wedding. My absence and the eventual leak of the affair led to a lot of drama. Now they are publicly blaming me for ruining their wedding. I'm feeling guilty, but was I wrong? Am I the a-hole for withholding my daughter's college fund money? My daughter is 17 and is currently in her senior year of high school. My husband and I have been saving up for her college since she was a newborn, and we have almost $200,000 in the account. She recently told us that she doesn't want to do the traditional route of going to a 4-year college straight out of high school. She wants to take some time off from education and get a job, and figure out if or when at all she wants to go to school. This was fine to me. I support her no matter what path she decides to take. However, she asked if we could give her the money because she wants to buy a new car amongst other things. I told her no, because if she does choose to eventually go to school, I still want there to be money left in the account, so I'm going to hold on to it for a bit longer. She says that she is entitled to the money because it was meant for her, and she should still be able to have it even if she doesn't want to go to college. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for yelling at my future sister-in-law over her cooking? I agreed to cook Thanksgiving for my family, my fiancé, his brother, and his fiancée, along with some additional guests. I love cooking and am skilled at it, having learned from my father, a former cruise line chef. At the last minute, I found out that my future sister-in-law planned to cook. She's known for being a poor cook, and I've tried to give her tips, but she won't accept the help. During dinner, I was busy cleaning up and noticed my sister-in-law was upset that nobody had eaten her dishes. She accused me of sabotaging her cooking, which was untrue as I hadn't been in the kitchen with her and had been entertaining guests. After she continued to mutter and give me dirty looks, I lost my temper and yelled at her, accusing her of acting immaturely and suggesting that maybe her food wasn't appealing. I hadn't indicated who made each dish, so guests didn't know what she had cooked. Am I the a-hole? Mother-in-law secretly installed a camera in my bedroom. My husband, 33, was in a car accident a month ago and has been bedridden with a back injury. Caring for him has been challenging due to pressure from my mother-in-law. She demanded hourly updates on his condition, getting upset if I failed to provide them. Despite her daily visits, she didn't help, only giving instructions on what I should or shouldn't do. Recently, I learned she installed a camera in our bedroom to monitor my caregiving. I confronted my mother-in-law, leading to a huge argument. She admitted to it, saying she was concerned for her son. I told her she's no longer welcome in our home. She lost it and ranted about losing access to her son. The family sided with her, calling me overly sensitive and unable to understand a worried mother's actions. This situation escalated into an argument with my husband, who threatened to move in with his mother if she couldn't visit. Am I the a-hole because I don't want to do my friend's bridal makeup anymore? My friend, 33, is getting married next year. Since she got engaged, she carries her wedding planner everywhere, and every single conversation has to be about her wedding. I understand she's excited, but everything is about her big day, and it's simply too much and has become insufferable. A couple of weeks ago, she asked me if I can do her wedding makeup, and I agreed. I'm not a makeup artist, but I like to do my own makeup, and the bride was always impressed with my work. A few days after, another friend who was in the bridal party told me that the bride-to-be said that I agreed to do makeup for the bride and bridesmaids, which came as a shock to me because I specifically remember agreeing to do the bride's makeup, not the entire bridal party. At this point, I don't feel like doing her makeup. The position she puts me in makes me feel like I don't want to take part in her wedding at all.
Am I the a-hole for asking a mother not to change her baby's diaper where I was eating? I was at a small neighborhood restaurant having lunch at a counter in the back. 2 women were at a table nearby. One of them came to the counter with a baby in a cloth bag. She began setting up to change the baby's diaper right next to where I was eating. I politely pointed out the restroom nearby. She replied there wasn't a changing table and didn't want to change the baby on the floor as the mat might get dirty. I kindly asked her not to change the baby on the counter while I was eating. She responded, asking if I expected her to let her baby remain in a wet diaper. I suggested she could change the baby at her table if she wasn't comfortable using the restroom. This led to her getting upset, arguing her table was visible from the street and people could see her baby being changed. I eventually approached the staff, who dealt with the situation. The woman left angrily, threatening to post about the incident online. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on people having a wedding? My family owns a 300-acre cattle farm, with my parents and grandparents living in separate homes on the property. Last year, they allowed a couple to use part of the farm for their wedding for free, but the couple left a huge mess. Recently, when another couple requested to use the farm for their wedding, my grandfather refused, likely due to the previous experience. While my family was out of town, they asked me to watch the farm. On my second day, I found a group setting up for a wedding. After confirming with my grandfather that he hadn't given permission, I confronted the group, informing them they were trespassing. They refused to leave, insisting it was their wedding day, so I called the police. It was chaotic, but I felt it was necessary. However, a friend called me an a-hole for involving the police on their wedding day. Was I wrong?
Am I the a-hole for accepting a drink off a guy in a bar? I, 21 female, went out to a bar the other night with a bunch of my friends. When it was my turn to order drinks, a guy came up to me as I was standing at the counter and we started chatting. I told him I had a boyfriend, 24 male, and made it clear that I wasn't interested in him like that. He offered to pay for my drinks anyway, and I accepted. I ended up chatting with him for 15 or 20 minutes after the drinks came because he was interesting. When I told my boyfriend about it yesterday, he got really angry with me and told me I shouldn't have let him. Am I in the wrong here? Am I the a-hole for expecting the men to help clean up after Thanksgiving? At my sister-in-law's Thanksgiving dinner, I took on a significant cooking role, preparing dishes for 2 days. I proposed to my husband that after our shared meal, the men should clean up, especially since only the women had cooked. He agreed to this plan. However, post-dinner, while the women started cleaning, the men retreated to the living room for football. On our way home, I questioned why my husband didn't help with cleanup as agreed. He accused me of having a victim complex and looking for reasons to be upset. I clarified I was merely addressing our agreement and fairness. He then proceeded to tell me how there are certain jobs he has to do because he has testicles, but I felt that wasn't relevant to our specific agreement for this evening. So, am I wrong for expecting that those who didn't contribute to preparing the meal, namely the men in this case, should have helped with the cleanup?
Am I the a-hole for giving my ex-wife a large amount of money I won? I recently won millions from the lottery, which could change my family's life. My ex-wife, mother of my 2 kids, is an amazing woman. We divorced 6 years ago due to my infidelity. Despite her pain, she ensured a smooth divorce and maintained a relationship with my parents. When I won, after informing my parents, she was the first person I told. She responded positively without expecting anything. I decided to share a significant amount of the winnings with her to improve her and our kids' lives. While my parents and lawyer support this, my current girlfriend reacted furiously, accusing me of still being in love with my ex. While I'm not romantically in love with my ex, I value our relationship. My girlfriend's threat to end our relationship over this has left me relieved. I'm going forward with my decision, but am I wrong for it?
Am I the a-hole for not inviting my niece and nephew to make Halloween cookies? I randomly decided to make sugar cookies with my kids because I wanted to get in the fall mood. I decided to post videos of us making them to Instagram because our family likes to watch them. Anyways, my brother called me asking why I didn't invite my niece and nephew over to make cookies with my kids if they live 15 minutes down the road. He said it wasn't fair that his kids weren't invited. I told him it was all last minute, and he said that he would have invited me if they did something at their house. He told me that his kids should be just as important to me as my own kids, and that I shouldn't be leaving them out. To me, it was just a simple activity that I decided to do with my kids. A couple days before, they did a fun activity at home and we didn't get invited, but I wasn't expecting to either. My mom says it's not hard to invite them, but sometimes I just want to do things alone with my kids. Am I the a-hole for not using the baby outfit my mother-in-law bought for Thanksgiving? We had a baby in September, and she's the first grandchild on either side, so obviously everyone is all over her. Both sides had given Thanksgiving outfits for my baby. My parents' gift was a cute turkey-themed dress, while my mother-in-law gave us a onesie with an inappropriate sexual innuendo. The onesie said, "I'm here because Mom's turkey got stuffed." We chose not to use my mother-in-law's outfit. On Thanksgiving, we split the day between my parents' and my in-laws' homes. Thanksgiving at my in-laws, she noticed my daughter wasn't wearing her gift and kept pressing about it, refusing even to hold the baby. I eventually explained that I was uncomfortable with the sexual message on the onesie. She called me a killjoy and rude. While I wonder if I should have just humored her for the day, my husband agrees with my decision. Was I wrong? Am I the a-hole for not wanting my parents on my romantic getaway? I am facing a dilemma after telling my parents about an upcoming romantic trip to the Dominican Republic with my husband. It's an adults-only resort meant for relaxation and romance. When I mentioned the trip to my parents, my mom assumed they were invited and started making plans with my dad. I was taken aback, as I never intended or suggested they join us. While I've traveled with them before, this trip was meant to be just for my husband and me. I gently explained to my mom that this trip was meant for us as a couple, and maybe we could plan a joint trip another time. This upset her, leading to accusations of me being selfish and not caring about her. She insisted that her presence wouldn't bother us, but her reaction left me feeling guilty and frustrated. I'm now struggling with whether I was wrong for wanting to keep this trip exclusive to my husband and me. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my in-laws' wedding guests they weren't invited? I married my husband last weekend, and while the ceremony was flawless, an issue arose at the reception. My in-laws unexpectedly invited 10 extra guests, friends of theirs we weren't acquainted with. I only became aware of this at the reception when seating became an issue. Our best man and groomsmen set up an additional table for them. With a buffet system based on table numbers, these unexpected guests were sent last after everything had been picked over. My in-laws were embarrassed that their friends were being treated that way. I, very politely, asked them what they expected when they invited guests without telling the people planning and paying for the wedding. They said we needed to go apologize for their treatment. I said I would, but I would also explain that they had not actually been invited. If they wanted their guests told anything else, then they had to go explain. Am I the a-hole? Mother-in-law keeps walking into my house unannounced. My 80-year-old mother-in-law lives very close to my husband and I. She is a wonderful person with great intentions. I am, however, frustrated with her habit of entering our home unannounced, whether by walking in without knocking or using the spare key if the doors are locked. It's startling and often catches me off guard, particularly since I'm not always in appropriate clothing for guests when caring for my toddler, who doesn't let me close doors even for a moment. My husband doesn't agree with my frustrations, but he did talk to her about ringing the bell. He said she can drop by any time, but asked her not to just walk in. Despite discussing it, my mother-in-law continues this behavior, which has left me extremely frustrated. My husband is upset with me, insisting I should accept her behavior because she's family and should have the freedom to visit any time. He believes I'm the one with the issue, not her. Would I be the a-hole if I went to my ex's funeral alone? I, 24 female, dated somebody from 17 to 21. We separated after suffering a loss, but stayed close. A year later, I met my current boyfriend, who was aware of everything and never had an issue with it. My ex's mom reached out about a week ago to tell me that my ex died and that I was invited to the funeral. The one thing she asked me was to come alone, as it was an intimate funeral, and only close ones were coming. I told my boyfriend about the news and the fact that I had to go alone. He said that although he felt for me and his family, going alone to my ex's funeral wasn't appropriate. When I asked what he meant by that, he answered that it just wasn't, and I shouldn't put anybody above his feelings, so going would be disrespectful to him. I get where he's coming from, but I also don't want to miss my ex's funeral, as he used to be a close friend, and someone I shared 5 years of my life with.